Coach?
Yeah. All right, guys. I think it'll be a little cooler next time we see most of you guys, so I think that'll be appreciated by most everybody. Look, I thought we had, really a good month of work. With the OTAs and the minicamp, I thought we got a lot accomplished, and so it's kind of a good kickstart into the summer and getting us, a baseline and a foundation ready for training camp.
A lot of talk about the
offensive. A little more clarity on what happened to Juwan Johnson. Did he get injured in practice last week?
It's really hard to say because there wasn't any sort of event. It's his foot. His foot was bothering him, and so he's unable to practice right now. But it really wasn't an event, so I'm not really sure exactly, how it happened. And then we'll just see what his availability is and when he becomes available.
You haven't gotten a timeline in terms of like the post-surgery recovery or anything like that, or whether it's after surgery?
No, I don't have any timelines on anything. And honestly, I really wouldn't want to get into any sort of timelines on anything anyway. So we'll see where he's at.
A lot of talk about the new offense install. How has that gone so far, and what do you want to see from it in training camp?
Well, look, I think it's gone pretty well. We've installed a lot offensively, a lot of moving parts, a lot of motions. So it's been challenging, both from an offensive standpoint of our guys learning a new offense, but it's also been challenging from a defensive standpoint, seeing a lot of different looks and a lot of different plays. A guy like Demario Davis can't come out here and just play the same plays he's been playing for the last, 6 or 7 years or whatever the case may be. So it's causing everybody to have to really work. It's causing, us as a defensive staff to have to go in and talk about, okay, how do we handle some of these things that we're seeing. So I think it's been great work for all of us. He was here for the walkthrough this morning, and then he went in, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him, so I'm not sure why he wasn't out here for the rest of practice.
Is his absence contract-related?
I have no idea. I haven't talked to Alvin, so I couldn't tell you. So that's all I got for you.
Do you expect him to be a training camp this one?
My expectation is that he would be. I haven't talked to him, so I can't tell you. I can't give you any information because he was here for the walkthrough and went in, and I haven't seen him since. So.
Dennis, can you talk a little bit more training camp up next, taking it to California? You already mentioned cooler atmosphere. What are you going to like about it?
Well, look, I think there's a few things. Obviously, being able to, get out of these elements a little bit, because this takes a toll on the player's body, this type of heat. And so being able to get out of those elements where that's one of the distractions that you don't have to deal with, as you go through training camp. I think the other thing is being able to get our team in a hotel, in a confined area where it's just us, and look, we love our families and we love our friends and all those things, and we love our fans and the city of New Orleans. And yet sometimes all of those things can be things that distract you from doing your job. And so I've always felt like when you go away, whether it be for an entire training camp or we've done this where we've gone and practiced against a few teams out in California, I just think it has a way of kind of uniting your team. And so I'm looking forward to that.
If you had some success this year, would you consider going back out there again next year?
Well, that's probably not a great question for me because I'm not the one that's writing the check to send the team out there for training camp. But yeah, I think it would be something that we would discuss. And look, there's positives and negatives. I went over the positives and negatives is we're not here, in front of our fans who want to come out and watch us practice. So that would be the negative of it.
Yeah, just watching the offense for the last month, what are some of the things you feel like play the better strength about this system?
Well, look, I think his ability, our ability to run the football, his ability to play action pass, you know, I think fits some of the things that I think he can do really well. I think he's really taken to the things that he's being taught on how to play the quarterback position within this offense. Some of it is unique, different than what he's heard in the past, and so I'm just excited about watching him develop within this offense, and I think he's looked really comfortable in it throughout this offseason.
Some of the bootlegs and stuff that you guys have been doing, does athleticism help with that as well?
Yeah, when I say play actions, I'm talking about all of them. What, you know, boots, waggles, you know, hard sell play actions, nakeds, all those things are all part of that whole deal. I think, you know, I wouldn't say that Derek's athleticism is his best attribute, but I would say he's plenty capable from an athletic standpoint of executing the things that we're going to ask him to execute.
How much better you are than you were at the end of last season? Do you think? How much improvement have you made?
There's zero way to answer that question because we haven't played a game yet. You know what I mean? So I like the work that we've gotten in. I'm excited about, you know, the group of players that we have. I'm excited about the coaches that we have. And how much better are we? We'll determine that, you know, as we get into training camp, start playing some games, preseason games, regular season games, and we'll find out how much better we are.
To follow up on Kamara, I know you said you have to talk to him, but would this be counted as an unexcused absence?
Yeah, I'm really not going to get into any of that stuff. You know, at the end of the day, I've said what happened, and I haven't had an opportunity to talk to him, so I think it'd be unfair to make any statements on that right now.
Are you able to help us understand a little better what the procedure is that Jawan needs?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into his medical issues. He's got a foot injury, and you know, we'll see where he's at. You know, yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that.
Dennis, from day one in training camp, like with Kool-Aid, is he focusing mainly on the outside corner or the slot, or?
He'll be focused on both. Yeah, he'll be focused on both.
How do you think the offense as a whole has really developed against the other?
Say that again.
How the offense has adapted to the new scheme from a mental standpoint in the last month?
Yeah, look, I think they've adapted well. And I think every time I've kind of been up here and talked to you guys, like, we're making progress, but we're a long way from where we need to be. And so I like the fact that we're making progress. And yet I come out here and watch practice and I see mistakes that get made, and we go in and we correct those. I think the key is we've done a pretty good job of minimizing repeat mistakes, meaning guys aren't making the same mistakes over and over, and I think that's progress, and so I think there's some things that we're doing well, but we're a long way from where we need to be.
Dennis, Dallin Holker is obviously a little bit smaller prototype than the next tight end. We're seeing the snaps to fullback too. Is there any vision for him other than the full spectrum of tight end work, or will he be able to do everything you ask him about?
Yeah, I think it still remains to be seen, right? Like, yeah, I think he's probably fits more in that, you know, F or U tight end type of position, a little bit more of a move guy. I think he'll define himself a lot more once we put the pads on and see what he really can do from a physicality standpoint. And I think I'll be able to answer that question a lot better once I know where he's at from a physicality standpoint. I do think there's some things that he can do to help us in the passing game, and some things that excite me in that area. And then I just think we got to figure out, you know, what can he do from a physicality standpoint? Can he block the C or D gap as an inline tight end? Can he line up, you know, off the ball and fit on a linebacker inside. I don't know those answers yet. You know, we'll figure it out in training camp.
Dennis, I wanted to ask just with that, with the impact of Jawan not being in that tight end group, and just to see if it's, you're going to lose him for a significant amount of time, just the impact of not having him.
Yeah, well, look, I think it remains to be seen what the amount of time is. I don't really have a timeline on it right now. But yeah, if we're out without him for any significant period of time, then I think that impacts that group. I think he was having a good off season, and I think he's a guy that we feel like can help us, you know, in particular in the passing game. And so, yeah, we'll have to adjust.
Yeah, he talked about that you guys don't repeat mistakes, and everybody from the quarterback down to the offensive lineman is saying how the new staff is really emphatic on detail organization. What's thinking about the way that they're emphasizing getting to the excellence?
Well, I mean, it's focused on the details, all the minor things, from, you know, your footwork to your hand placement, to your eyes, to your alignment, to the communication. All of those things matter, you know. And like I said yesterday, all the details matter. You don't get to pick which ones do. So they do a good job of staying on top of those things, and I think we'll benefit from that.
Dennis, was Nick Selda very injury related or heat related?
He got, I think they said groin or hamstring. Again, it didn't seem like it was anything significant. It happened early on, like in, you know, individual, I think.
Since after he's opened up some space by restructuring Payson, do you anticipate adding like some veteran presence to this roster between now and training camp?
I'd say anything's up, you know, up for discussion, and we're open. If we feel like there's something that we can do that will help our football team, then, you know, we'd be open to do that. We don't have anybody right now that we say we got a target on this guy that we're trying to go get. I can say that, but I can't tell you what's going to happen between now and training camp.
Dennis, when you're in training camp and you do get the pads on and inside drill where you have, let's say, 12 run plays, the defense knows you're running it offensively, considering where you were last year, and you don't want the offense to win every rep, you want the defense to win every rep, where last year you basically given up 4.5 yards to run, but you only gained 3.5. How do you look at that? What's the winning part of that aspect of that drill, both offensively and defensively, considering you're trying to obviously run the ball better, higher average, and then also stopping the run?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, so that's a tough question in that, you know, when somebody's going to win the play and somebody's going to lose the play, and so I think at the end of the day, you'd like there to be some consistency and some balance in that, in terms of, you know, if the offense is running it at 4 yards a pop and inside drill, like, that's not very good for the defense, but yet that's pretty good for the offense, you know. And I think it probably takes playing in some preseason games. It takes getting into the regular season to really figure out, you know, where you're at. Because if you're going against your offense and defense all the time, well, I don't know what the other 31 teams look like right now, you know. And so I think it takes kind of getting out there and playing some games before you really figure out, you know where you're at.
And then Willie Green earlier, did y'all talk about it?
No, I wouldn't say that we have a lot of communication, but you know, he came out to, you know, watch practice, offer a little support, which was pretty good to have him out here. You know, I think you know, there's a lot of similarities in terms of the responsibilities of the job, you know, and so yeah, I think that was cool of him to come out and catch a little bit of practice.
When it comes to 85, were you surprised that he wasn't drafted? Was there a lot of, in the street free agent process, was there a lot of competition for him?
85 meaning Dallin Holker? Yeah. Okay. I'm not good on jersey numbers right now.
Oh, okay.
As I recall, there was some competition for the player. Exactly what that was, I'm not sure, but I do know that there were some other teams that were interested in him, and you know, he felt like this would be a good opportunity for him. We got a couple of Colorado State coaches on our staff, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but yeah, look, he was certainly one of the guys in free agency that we targeted to go after once he wasn't available, you know, once he didn't get drafted.
Coach, how good is it to get Kool-Aid out there and individual drills and really see them just trying to get it?
Yeah, look, he's got a lot of work to do. You know, he hadn't really been able to do a whole lot, and so he's got to get himself in shape. He's got to make sure he understands the playbook, which I think that's the least of his concerns, really, when you look at how intelligent he is as a football player. So, but yeah, to answer your question, it's good to get him out here to work, you know, a little bit of the individual drills. It just shows that we're making progress towards, you know, getting him ready for training camp. And I think that's the ultimate goal, is to have him ready to go, you know, once we hit, you know, July 23rd and get going. All right, thanks guys.
Appreciate it.
What's up, guys? Fire away, man.
Coach, I talked to Wog yesterday, and he said it's helping him acclimate to New Orleans because the playbook is very similar to Oregon State is here. Can you kind of maybe lay it out and how that is helping him?
Yeah, I'd say that sticks out in his film, you know, some of the similar concepts and schemes, but I think it's more of a compliment just to his intelligence as a person. He works hard at it, he's smart, he was well coached at Oregon State.
You won't have a good gauge with Kubiak until what, training camp, when the pads come on. When did you finally realize he's got it? He can do it at left tackle, not a right tackle, like he did in college.
Well, if he ever thinks he's got it, he's in trouble, you know. But I think he's done everything he can to give himself an opportunity and impressed us early. But it all changes when the pads go on. So, but he's made of the right stuff, so I'm not worried about him.
What do you think so far of the offensive rollout that you guys have been able to institute so far, you install, and how far you're along?
You know, our guys did a great job of you know, taking in a lot of information and going and putting it on the grass. Coach Allen gave us a lot of meeting time to get it installed, so I'm pleased with where we're at, and you know, we're never going to be where we want to be. If we have that mindset, we'll be all right.
Where have you guys cross gauge how much you developed in the last month from a mental standpoint? How much do you say that's really happening?
Yeah, I think I've seen improvement, you know, in the competitive periods when, you know, the ones go out there and they, you know, move the ball down the field. That's a good start, but again, there is no pass rush really. We're all in underwear out here, so we get to training camp, we put pads on. You know, guys that maybe you didn't notice here the last couple of weeks, they're going to start showing up, and the other way around too. So, you know, that's what we tell our guys, is it's real football come the fall. So they got to put themselves in position to be successful and be in shape over this break.
Klint, how would you gauge that jump from when Derek first kind of got, you know, learning man offense to where he's at this point? Where's that, I guess, how would you gauge that?
He's been impressive with, you know, and I knew that coming here. That was a big reason to come here, right? To be able to coach him and to coach a guy who's played a lot of football and, you know, has been to Pro Bowls and obviously a very intelligent player. So no surprise that he's been able to handle it well. He's done a good job. He's exceeded expectations, but, you know, like I said with everybody else, he's also has a growth mindset and is not satisfied. So we have a lot of work to do come the fall.
What kind of progress have you seen from Trevor Penning, and what are some of the things you want to see him maybe work on before training camp?
I think Trevor Penning has done everything we've asked him since we got here. Really tough mentality. I like the person. I like the way he works. I like how important the game is to him. And, you know, he's no different than anybody else. You know, we're going to coach him hard and expect a lot out of him. And, you know, we'll see what happens when we put the pads on.
Eric McCoy talked about how, along with Trevor and Tyler and even Tyler, how they really kicked up the playbook and expedited things compared to what they were expecting. What do you think about how the younger offensive linemen are adjusting and learning to play style?
Well, I think you got two incredible offensive line coaches in John Benton and Rick Dennison. So, I mean, you got double the teaching right there. So I know I'm really fortunate to get to work with those guys, and really focused my attention other places, and those guys have handled it. And just a really impressive group of coaches right there, along with Jari Evans. So those guys are lucky. Those players are lucky to have those guys.
When you've studied Chris Olave and then now seen him on the field and worked with him, what are some opportunities that you see that the team could be expanded or we can get even new elements out of him?
Obviously, he's a playmaker. He's made 2 years of a lot of production, and we think there's more in the tank. And I think to his credit, he had an injury in this offseason and played through it. He showed a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. So we definitely have studied what he does well and want to expand on that. And his success will come from the team's success. So I just want to see him to continue to develop and help us in more ways than just catching the ball. And that's with all receivers. Put a lot of pressure on those guys to help us out in the run game. So that's a big part of his improvement and all the wideouts.
And the last time we talked to you in the rookie camps, we hadn't seen Taysom Hill do anything yet. You said you were going to try a number of things and see what works. I mean, I think we've seen you try everything with Taysom Hill. I mean, is that the idea? Is you just want to look at him everywhere, or he could really have a huge role in this offense?
Yeah. Well. He's obviously a highly intelligent player that's been coached extremely well, so there's a lot of carryover in his knowledge, and then his effort and his attention to detail was excellent this whole offseason. So, I appreciate the work that he put into it, and I appreciate, our coaching staff's creativity and trying to get him at a lot of spots. But, he's no different than there's, our receivers that have played 3 different positions. So, so there's guys like Cedric Wilson. That's a really, really intelligent guy that's played a lot of spots too. Maybe doesn't get as much of the credit, but I would compliment him as well. As well as our offensive linemen that are playing center and guard. So, but yeah, Taysom's done a great job this offseason.
Beyond just like a successful running game, what goes into making plans that what makes them successful beyond being football?
Not being in 2nd and 20 helps. Staying ahead of the chains, and not to be a smart aleck, but that's the truth. I think it starts from the top down. Starts with the head coach supporting us, wanting to run the ball, and then trickling down to the players and their mindset into making those play actions come to life once we run the ball. I think it's just having good habits in practice and us being good teachers. And if we can install good runs and be successful there, then we can build off of the pass game. But it's a lot of this. I wish it was just one thing, but it's not.
Are you uncomfortable with all the attention you've gotten that the offense has gotten in this offseason, or is that just part of life?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. When you're coming as a new staff, there's going to be more attention on you, and that's part of our job is to deal with expectations, whether they're good or bad. So, I tell the players all the time that your expectations have to be your own. So my expectations are one thing, Eric McCoy's are another, and we have high expectations of ourselves regardless of what's going on outside. And if we can just kind of narrow our vision and put the blinders on and focus on that, and less about what's going on around us, the better we'll be.
Kind of to follow, do you feel like you have the players to be one of those top clubs immediately on the offensive side of the ball?
I think we're just going to try to go get a first down in training camp and go from there. We got who we got. I like who we got, and it ain't going to change from now to the season. So we better go figure it out pretty quick.
Were you surprised by Kamara's absence from practice after the walkthrough today? Did you talk to him at all?
No, I have talked to him when he was here the last couple of days. He's been great. Talked to him on the phone even when he was gone. We've been in constant communication. Really loved the way he put in the work yesterday and in the walkthrough. But I don't have any other comment on after that.
Did he tell you why he wasn't in practice? Or?
I think DA answered some of those questions. I didn't get to talk to him, though. But no.
Early on, some of the guys mentioned that you guys were meeting as a group as opposed to being like in individual rooms. Is that how you run it all the time? And what's the advantage of that?
I think it's important we're all on the same page, coaches and players. We got new coaches working together too. So I think it's important to hear one voice early. So that's something that I think is really important as an offense, that we're all speaking the same language, coaches and players.
So it's just kind of like establishing the culture, and then later on, like if you break off and go into different rooms.
Hey, just taking it one day at a time, and this time setting that we had, we needed to be together as much as possible. So we'll probably do that quite a bit though. Yeah.
Golf was something that's new to a lot of the players that have been in this offense in the past. That's just something that you kind of have to drill early so that by the time the actual training game here is not something you're thinking about that.
Yeah, I think we put our guys. We gave a lot to them. Definitely way more than we'd ever put in one game plan, and they handled it really well. So you just got to put them through it. You got to make it hard on them in practice, make them study at night, and I think overall I was pleased with the detail our guys had and our coaches that put them through it.
DA said
Time
that,
for one more.
DA said that usually after these practices, the staff has been going back and kind of figuring out, all right, there's some different looks that we're seeing offensively that we've got to adjust. You guys as a staff seen stuff from this defense and you've gone, maybe we need, make a couple adjustments here to kind of be effective of what we're doing. Or is that give and take kind of the same?
Yeah, that's everywhere you go, and just from afar playing against Coach Allen in the past is one of the toughest defensive schemes to face, and the number of looks that we got in this one camp, is probably as much as you'll see in the NFL with the defense that's been established for a long time, and they definitely caused a lot of problems for us and made us better. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Appreciate it.